What's going on, guys? Welcome back. So, there I occurred in my room, in my house, because I don't go outside very much these days. But anyway, I was thinking about how we have expansions coming out for Pokemon Sword and Shield pretty soon. And I was thinking about the Pokemon that I thought, after, playing the competitive format for a couple months now, that I thought could be good to add to the format. And I was just kind of thinking about it and thinking about the Pokemon that I would want to use. And I thought it would make an interesting video topic. So, today I'm going to take you through the 10 Pokemon that I want to see added in the expansion packs. Now, for the most part, I've tried to keep personal bias out of this list. Of course, some personal bias is inherent because Pokemon that I've used before and that I liked using, I'm inherently going to think are better versus Pokemon that maybe, I used and didn't like. Or, I just, never use. I'm not going to have as much experience with. So, with that in mind, of course, the list isn't perfect, but these are just some Pokemon. This is just my opinion. In terms of the criteria that I set for myself, I wanted to add Pokemon that I thought would add something to the metagame that I think would give you an interesting option without being too overpowered or too broken or anything like that. And so, some Pokemon that, for example, a Pokemon like Garchomp, I didn't include on my list because obviously it'd be really good, but I'm a little worried that it would be too good. And yeah, Pokemon that I'm worried about would be like would have the potential to be broken or also lower on the list. So I started thinking about, okay, now that I have my criteria, how do I want to answer it, right? Because there's a lot of different ways I could go. And so I thought about what's going on in the current metagame and what I think could be good. So the first thing that I was thinking about was Togekiss, right? And the thing about Togekiss is that there are only a couple Steel-type Pokemon. Togekiss, for those of you who haven't really played the format or haven't really followed, it's a very good support Pokemon. It's not broken, in my opinion. It's not broken by any means, but it's very, very good. And it's difficult to remove and difficult to deal with. So I started thinking about Steel-type Pokemon. So as you can see, we're on Cerebi. I can zoom in a little more. And I'm on Gen 7 decks because none of these Pokemon will exist in Gen 8. And I was going through, and a Pokemon that jumped out at me was Metagross. So Metagross is a Pokemon that's kind of been a staple for almost all of VGC history. In VGC 2012, it was really good. That was back when Steel resisted both Ghost and Dark, so it only had a couple weaknesses, Fire and Ground among them. Actually, it might be all of them. Yeah, so it only had weaknesses to Fire and Ground back in the day, and it's a really strong Pokemon, and it has Clear Body, which is a very good ability. Metagross is lower on this list because I do fear that it might be too good. Metagross did get a nerf in Generation 6 when its Ghost and Dark were now super effective against it as opposed to neutral. However, to make up for it, it was given Mega Evolution. So, yeah, Mega Evolution kind of changed the game a lot, and Mega Metagross is really, really strong. And so with Mega Metagross, obviously, it did pretty well in 2018. It had some usage in 2015, I think, but I don't really remember much usage out of it at all. But it was actually pretty good in 2018. Ended up winning the US Nationals, and I think it had a lot of other big finishes as well. So it was a good Pokemon, and I think there was some use of it in 2019 as well. So basically, long story short, Metagross is a Pokemon that's been around for a while, and it's been used to great success throughout a lot of VGC. And actually, the last thing I want to mention about Metagross is that it actually had a really good finish, or it started picking up popularity in 2017 when there weren't Mega Evolution. There wasn't Mega Evolution in 2017. However, people would run Weakness Policy Max Speed Metagross with Bulldoze Salamence. Bulldoze would activate the Weakness Policy and, give Metagross boost. You couldn't get rid of the boost with Clear Body, or because of Clear Body, and then Metagross would be pretty powerful, and you would have some speed control right away. So, long story short, I think Metagross would be really good. Like I said, Clear Body is the main ability you want to use. I don't think it would be broken, though. Dragapult being really popular, Excadrill being popular, Incineroar being popular, and, did I just say Tyranitar? Tyranitar to some extent as well. All I think would hurt it, as would Dusclops and Torkoal and Rhyperior, so I don't think it would be broken. But it has a lot of stuff going for it. You could do a Weakness Policy set, like I already mentioned. You could do an Assault Vest set. You could do Shuka Berry if you wanted and use it to, maybe do okay versus, like, Excadrill. I think having another Steel type would just be interesting. You could do Cassie Berry if you wanted. You could run Agility. Like, there's just a lot of interesting moves that it gets, or that it got in Generation 7. And, of course, although the move pool will be different, you can see it actually has a lot going for it. It gets good coverage moves. Maybe it gets these coverage moves again. I don't know. I just think it's an interesting Pokemon, and I think it would add something to the metagame. Like, I don't think it would be broken at all. I could be wrong, but I don't think it would be broken at all. I think it has a lot of natural checks. But yeah, especially in a metagame that's overall slower, I just think it would be interesting to use. And I don't know, Metagross is generally good when it's allowed, when people find a way to make it work. So I don't know exactly like how Metagross would be right off the bat. Like, I can't tell you. Certainly it would be amazing, like, or it'd be somewhat good, or it'd be bad. But I think it'd be interesting, and I think having another Steel type in the metagame would add a lot. On the topic of Pokemon who used to be broken, we're going to talk about Salamence next. So Salamence is another Pokemon that has been very popular throughout VGC history. It's another Intimidate user. It also gets Moxie, though in VGC, Intimidate is the preferred ability. Yeah. Salamence is a Pokemon that has been used for a lot of VGC history as well. It wasn't used that much in 2012 or 2013, but once it got a Mega Evolution, actually even before that, in 2014, even without his Mega Evolution, people would run Scarf Salamence because it was one of the few Intimidators in the format, and Scarf Draco Meteor in a format that at the time was, especially at the beginning, was somewhat frail. It was a good Pokemon. And once it got a Mega Evolution, it was pretty good. It saw success like throughout all of the formats Mega Evolution were allowed in 2015, 2016. It won Worlds in 2018 as well. And like I mentioned earlier with Metagross, it actually had some usage in 2017 as well. So I don't know, it's been pretty good even with or without Mega Evolution. Yeah, it was used pretty much 2014 through 2019 pretty frequently. In 2017 it dropped a little bit, but actually I used it. Yeah, no, it was good. It was good. Yeah, with Z moves and stuff. Yeah, it was a solid mon. So I don't know. I think it's an interesting Pokemon. Dynamax would make Salamence very interesting because normally without the Mega Evolution or a Z Crystal, Salamence typically, like, it wouldn't run a flying move. If you were running Scarf, you'd do like Draco Meteor, Flamethrower, Dragon Pulse, and then a move of your choice. But it normally wasn't a flying move because it doesn't get any good flying moves. However, with Dynamax, you could change that. You could actually run it offensively with the intention of Dynamax, use max flying, and then go from there. Or you could use it as a support Pokemon, like with Metagross, like Solvus Intimidate or Rosalie Berry Roost. Were both used in 2017, and yeah, it can also be a Scarf user. Although Scarf isn't super good in this current format, but you get the point. Basically, it's a bulky Intimidate, or it has good natural bulk and it has Intimidate, as well as some interesting options. You could use it as a Scarfer to smack Dragapult before it attacked, or you could use it with like Havenberry to beat Dragapult with Dynamax. I don't know, I just think it's an interesting Pokemon, and it has a lot going for it. It can be either physical or special, though normally you'd run special in VGC. And yeah, if I don't need to go through the TMs because it gets a lot of good moves, but if we look just at the stats, a base 100 speed Pokemon is really fast in this format. 100 is like, yeah, faster than almost everything that you'll play. Not almost everything, but faster than a good like chunk of what you'll play against. And so I don't know, I just think it's an interesting Pokemon, and although I think it would be good, I don't think it would be broken. And I think, yeah, without Mega Evolution, I think it would be an interesting tool in the format, and I don't know, I think there's a lot of things you can do with it in a format where Mega Evolution isn't allowed, because it gives you more room for like defensive Salamence, for example, or you know, stuff like that. So I don't know, I'd like to see Salamence in the format, I think. Next Pokemon we're going to talk about, I think it's the last, well, it's almost the last of like the things that people are probably thinking of when they think of like really good Pokemon. We're going to talk about Scizor. I truthfully don't think Scizor would be that good. Like, it doesn't have good bulk, and it's not that strong offensively, but I have a soft spot for Scizor. I won Nationals with it back when Steel Gem was allowed, and it was just incredible. I don't know, I really like Scizor as a Pokemon, and this is going along with the Togekiss thing, where Togekiss is really popular, and I think Scizor does pretty well against Togekiss for the most part, although it's not amazing. I don't know, I just think Scizor is an interesting Pokemon. It gets good coverage moves, it gets Bug Bite, it gets Bullet Punch, it gets Feint, it gets Superpower. I think there's some interesting things you could do with it. And although it doesn't like beat Dragapult, it doesn't like immediately lose to Dragapult either. I don't know. It's not a Pokemon that necessarily benefits a ton from Dynamax, but it doesn't hurt either. Although, yeah, I guess a lot of your moves would be kind of weak in Dynamax form, but that's okay. So yeah, I don't know. I just think it's an interesting Pokemon. You can run Swords Dance, you can run Acrobatics and go for max flying, you could run Solfest, you could run Life Orb, you could run Occaberry, you could run Citrus Berry. I don't know. I think there's some interesting Pokemon with it. Wait, why is Scizor the Pinsir Pokemon when we have Pinsir? Wait, hang on. Sorry, we have to do this. What is Pinsir then if it's not the Pinsir Pokemon? Stag Beetle. Okay, whatever. I'm not going to talk about that because it makes me mad. Okay. Yeah, like looking at its moves, I don't know. Pursuit is not in the game anymore. I don't know. I just think there's some interesting things you can do with it. And although, frankly, like, this is probably the Pokemon that I think would be the worst on my list. I just like Scizor, and I think that, like, on the right team, a smart player could do good things with it. So, yeah, I don't know. That's my argument for Scizor. It could get Tailwind, though probably not, because Tailwind that's a tuner move. Yeah, I don't know. Scizor's a Pokemon that was pretty good in 2012, had a bit of usage in 2013, and since then it's kind of fallen off, and I don't know. I miss it. I like Scizor. I think it's a good Pokemon. It's a personal favorite of mine, so I don't know. I would like to see it personally. It gets Baton Pass, it gets Curse, as you can see. Oh, wait, those are old moves, right? Okay. Well, it probably would still get Baton Pass. I don't know. I think it's interesting. I would like to see Scizor. Okay, now we're mostly out of the broken Pokemon. or the Pokemon that people are like, people who don't know VGC probably think are good. I am not actually sure. This is number 7. So Azumarill, number 7. I don't actually know if I want this thing in the game. Togekiss plus Azumarill sounds really scary, but we also have some good tools to deal with it. Azumarill is really strong because it doesn't look like a strong Pokemon probably, but because of huge power, it actually is very dangerous. In the past, people would use like Follow Me Pokemon with Belly Drum and then would go for Aqua Jet from there. I think Dynamax weakens Azumarill, like opposing Dynamax weakens Azumarill a bit, but you can also do really like scary things. Like you could use huge power Assault Vest Azumarill and Dynamax and just blow everything up. Good coverage moves. It's a fairy Pokemon. It has a very good Dragapult matchup if you Dynamax it. Although, yeah, I don't know. I just thought fairy was like an interesting type to add to this list. And spoilers, this is the only fairy Pokemon I added. So, I don't know. I think you could do some interesting things with it. Like I said, Belly Drum is pretty good as a sweeper, but it's not like a Pokemon that needs to use Belly Drum. Assault Vest Azumarill has seen some usage before. It gets knockoff, though I don't know if that's a tutor move. Yeah, it's probably it looks like a tutor move. Yeah. Yeah, it gets Perish Song, so you can use it in a Perish Trap team. I don't know. I just think it's an interesting Pokemon. And I think that it would add stuff to the metagame. Like, I don't know. In DD plus Azumarill sounds kind of scary, though you wouldn't be able to Aqua Jet, like if you run Psychic Tree and Follow Me in DD. It might be bad for the metagame, so I'm kind of like, out of all the Pokemon on the list, if I had to choose one, like, if I was like, okay, 9 of these will get added and 1 will not get added, I would choose Azumarill, I think, to not get added, because it does frighten me. Like, it's just a scary Pokemon, and even if it's not meta, and even if it's not super commonplace, it's a Pokemon that, if you play poorly against it, you will definitely lose. Or you can definitely lose, I should say, because it's just so dangerous. One of the reasons that I felt like I could justify it, including Azumarill on this list, is because Gastrodon is kind of common right now, and Gastrodon shutting down Aqua Jet and Liquidation, if you want to run it, is... it helps a bit, but yeah, it's a very powerful Pokemon. People have run Choice Band before, people have run Life Orb. I don't know if I've seen Life Orb that often, but yeah, Choice Band, Assault Vest, and then Belly Drum, Citrus Berry are all the popular sets. So yeah, you might think like, okay, maybe Belly Drum's not that good because Snorlax isn't that good, but the difference between Azumarill and Snorlax is you get to immediately Aqua Jet after. So I don't know, it's just a scary Pokemon, and I don't really want it running around too much. If the Belly Drum set is super good, but if we take out Belly Drum being broken for, like, if we assume that the metagame isn't great for the Belly Drum set, then I would say, yeah, maybe Azumarill can make it. Okay, now we're into the cooler Pokemon. So next Pokemon I would think would be interesting is Krookodile. Krookodile I really like as a Pokemon. It's always like solid, like mid tier, like lower mid tier in my opinion. Like a Pokemon that you're never going to see very often, but is always a threat. I think it got second at Worlds in 2011, but that format is kind of wonky because it was only Unovamons, but I don't know. I like Krookodile. It has 3 really good abilities. Intimidate, which is a great ability. Moxie, which is a good ability. And then Anger Point, which can be used on Gimmick teams, like with Frost Breath to crit yourself or something. So, I don't know. I think it's an interesting Pokemon. It's actually pretty fast for the format. I think it is 95 base. We just confirm that? 92 base. So it's faster than base 90s, but slower than 95. That's because it's 92, which is in between 90 and 95. Thank you for my analysis. This is World Champ analysis. It has good stats across, like more or less. Its bulk isn't like amazing, but it's got a pretty high base HP stat, decent speed stat, and then a pretty high attack stat. I don't know if knockoff is a level up move or not. Let's see, because that kind of matters. With or without knockoff, it's still an interesting Pokemon. It's a Pokemon that, in my opinion, benefits a lot from Dynamax. You can run Max Ground and Max Darkness, both of which are pretty good. And I know I've been talking a lot about Togekiss, but there's other Pokemon that are scary in the metagame as well. For example, Krookodile is like it's like an Excadrill that isn't as fast, but also can beat Excadrill Tyranitar, and it's faster than Excadrill as well. So if you pair this with a strong Steel-type Pokemon, it could be interesting, or something that beats Togekiss. Then you would have a pretty solid like core getting around Excadrill, Togekiss, and Tyranitar, because Krookodile faces up really positively against them. And although I know I mentioned like a kind of poor natural bulk, or like, mediocre natural bulk, because it does have high base HP, with Dynamax and with Max Quake being a good move to click, you can boost your natural bulk pretty significantly and make it difficult to remove. And you also have the option of going for Max Darkness and comboing with slower special attackers, because Max Darkness lowers special defense. So I don't know. It also is like decent option moves. Like you could also just run how do I say this? Like Protect, Ground, like Earthquake, and then Crunch, and then you could run Taunt in the last slot, and Taunt is very good this format because of Dusclops' popularity. And speaking of Dusclops, that's another reason why I thought Krookodile could be interesting, because we have a couple Dark types, but Tyranitar is like the one that comes to mind fastest, and I don't know, like having more Dark types I think would make Dusclops feel less, overwhelming, because there's a lot of reasons not to run Tyranitar on team. it gets some decent coverage moves, Brick Break, Rock Slide. I think it gets Superpower, but I'm not sure. Snarl you could run. But yeah, I don't know, just some interesting moves. And I think it's an overall cool Pokemon, and that I don't think it gets enough credit a lot of the time, because it has a lot of potential, but it's often overshadowed. But I feel like in this format, this is one format where maybe it would actually have its chance to shine. So I don't know. I think Krookodile is cool. Next up, we have Swamp Gang. We have Swampert. So Swampert's a Pokemon that got a Mega Evolution, but frankly didn't benefit too much from it in VGC. It actually top cut Worlds in 2012 when a Spanish player used it to finish top 8. And yeah, every once in a while it will pop up. Like I think Angel Miranda used it at some point. I think in 2015, but I'm actually blanking. Swampert is an interesting Pokemon, like non-Mega Swampert. It has like basically like it can fill an interesting support role. It has Scald, it has Earth Power, it also has Waterfall and Earthquake, it has Icy Wind, it has Yawn, and yeah, its natural bulk is actually pretty good because it's really physically bulky. So if we look at its stats, you can see good HP, good attack, good defense, good special defense, decent special attack, and not great speed, but 60 is fine. Like you could use it in Trick Room or out of Trick Room. I don't know. I think it's interesting. I believe it gets Yawn, unless I'm out of my mind. Where's the Egg Moves? Where's Egg Moves? I think Egg Moves might not be on here. No, this should be Egg Moves. Egg Moves, yeah. It doesn't get Yawn, right? Oh, yeah. So it gets Yawn. It gets Wide Guard for support. It has Counter and Mirror Coat, though those aren't used very much. You could run Curse. But yeah, for this, I think Scald, Earth Power, and then 2 more would probably be good. I just think it's an interesting support Pokemon. It does, like, a bulky support Pokemon that's Water and Ground type with only 1 weakness, I think could be cool. Like, because we have Gastrodon, it has the same typing as Gastrodon, who also can be bulky and use Yawn, but Swampert has different stats, and it plays in a different way. And you also don't have to use Yawn. Like, you could run Assault Vest Swampert, whereas you wouldn't normally run Assault Vest Gastrodon. So I don't know. I think it's a cool Pokemon. I think that it would be a nice defensive piece to have. I don't think Blaziken, like, obviously, when you talk about a starter or, like, a part of a set, like, I know that including Swampert would also probably include Blaziken and Sceptile, but I don't think those would be so bad in VGC. I don't think Sceptile would add anything, and I don't think Blaziken would get that much usage, so I don't know. I think it's a cool Pokemon. I think there are some interesting things you can do with it, and I don't think it would hurt to have in the format. I think it would add some stuff, give some players like some more room for creativity. The one thing about Swampert is it doesn't necessarily answer like a threat. It doesn't answer any questions, but I don't know. I think it's interesting nonetheless. This next one's also a personal favorite of mine. We're gonna talk about Magnezone. So this is number 4 on our list. Magnezone. Magnezone's a Pokemon I've only used a couple times, but I do like it as a Pokemon. It has interesting abilities, Magnapulse, Sturdy, and Analytic. I think it would be a good Dynamax Pokemon. Currently in the format, our electric types feel like they're only Rotom. I don't know if I'm missing anything obvious, but we don't have that many electric types. And again, Steel type is also not lacking. Like, we have some good Steel types, but I think more Steel types would be good. Magnezone is a very positive Togekiss matchup, resisting both of its stabs, being able to set electric terrain for itself, so that Yawn isn't a threat, and yeah, just overall being solid. I don't know. It's a good Dynamax target because its special attack is actually really high. I think it's base 130. Yeah, base 130 special attack. Low base speed stat, but it's not, like, if there's ever a format where low base speed stat doesn't matter as much, it's probably this one. And yeah, Max Steel Spike, being able to boost its defense is nice. You get some good moves. Volt Switch, Thunderbolt, Flash Cannon. On my Magnezone, I ran Substitute and Protect with leftovers, so you can do stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. Like, it's an interesting Pokemon. I don't think it would be super good, but I think you could use it in the right way. Vieira actually used it in 2017 as well to win the Onog Invitational, and then from there, Zoe went on to win the Oceania Internationals with Magnezone. So I think I'm actually underselling Magnezone's performance in 2017. So I don't know. Yeah, I think I'm not positive. I'm not positive Magnezone would be good. I'm really not, but there are a lot of Pokemon that matches up somewhat favorably against, such as Lapras and Togekiss, and it doesn't do terribly versus Dusclops either. I mean, it doesn't get rid of it too quickly, like, you know. But basically, the main issues are, like, Pokemon like Conkeldurr and Tyranitar and Excadrill, but those are Pokemon that there are answers for in the format already, so I don't know. Magnezone strikes me as kind of like a win condition Pokemon, where it's like, if you eliminate certain threats on your opponent's team, you can probably win with it. So yeah, I don't know. And I don't know. I just think more Steel types would be nice in the format, because right now it feels like you can use Excadrill or you can use like a Scavalier. I'm sure there's more Steel types that I'm forgetting about, or Ferrothorn, but like there's not like a good special attacking Steel type. Is there? Let me just, actually, you know what? Let's just check this, because now I feel like an idiot. Let's see if there's like a consistent one that I'm missing. No, it kind of feels like, I mean, you could, oh, Durant is another obvious one, but I hate Durant, so I don't even think about it. Yeah. Corviknight is okay, but it doesn't really play like a steel type. Or Duraludon, who also doesn't really play like a steel type unless you use it in a certain way. So, I don't know. I think Magnezone would add something interesting. And Magna-Pull is really nice as well. Like, for example, if you had a good team to stop Excadrill, or if you ran Balloon on it, you could do some interesting stuff where you actually trap Excadrill. And Ferrothorn's popping up now as well, so players who had a fire type but couldn't, like, you know, were struggling to land a hit on a Ferrothorn, I think Magna-Pull adds a lot in situations like that, so I like Magnezone. Next up is a Pokemon I didn't really think I would recommend, but the more I thought about it, the more I liked it. We're going to talk about Crobat. So Crobat is a Pokemon that normally plays a more supportive role. It had a lot of usage in 2019, but I don't think it had a ton outside of that. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I can't remember many other formats where Crobat was especially good. I don't know if this thing would be good in this format, but it gets a lot of good supporting moves. One thing that we're kind of missing is Tailwind in this format. Whimsicott feels like not the only viable user, but the best one by a good long shot. And Tailwind being so powerful, this format, because of the new speed mechanic changes, really, really boost the viability of Pokemon like Whimsicott that have it and can use it with Prankster, or in Crobat's case, probably before almost everything else. Crobat outspeeds the whole metagame except for Dragapult and the rare Barraskewda, who's jolly, or things in, you know, Sun or Sand or whatever. So, although Prankster Tailwind is better than Fast Tailwind is still really good against a lot of teams. Crobat has Taunt as well and has the moves, like the move pool to run Taunt. So you can run Taunt Crobat, you can run Tailwind, it used to run Super Fang as well. You could run Haze to deal with Weakness Policy, which is really popular right now, or Max Move Boost in general. Haze is a really good move. It's seeing play on Dusclops. Inner Focus is nice. I think Inner Focus means you can't get infected by Intimidate anymore as well, so that could be nice. And then you could actually do some interesting stuff with Crobat. Like, you could in theory run a Nasty Plot set and go for like Air Slash and Max Ooze to boost your speed and special attack stats. You could run Brave Bird because now you can't be intimidated, and Super Fang isn't as good anymore as well. Or you could run Super Fang, right? You could totally do that. You could run Tailwind, Taunt, Super Fang, Brave Bird, and have a really strong support Pokemon. Because, you know, I don't know. I think it's interesting as a Pokemon, and I think it would add some stuff to Tailwind teams in this format. And I don't know, because like you don't need any moves outside of Tailwind and maybe Taunt. I think that you have a lot of room to play with, right? You could use Safety Goggle with Crobat or Lum Crobat to deal with Venusaur. I don't know. You can run Hypnosis on it, which is really evil, but you can. I don't know. Interesting egg moves. I don't know. I think it's interesting, and I think you could do some cool stuff with it. Yeah, because it's so fast, and like I said, like it has the moves to mess around. So I think it would be cool to have in the format. I think I would definitely enjoy having Crobat in the format. And on the topic of poison types, we're going to our number 2 Pokemon on the list. So this is probably a Pokemon not many of you are expecting, maybe like Crobat, but we're going to talk about Muk. And specifically Alolan Muk. So Alolan Muk is a Pokemon that I really like. It saw some usage in 2017 and didn't really see much after that. It may have gotten some usage in 2018, I'm forgetting. It gets knockoff by level up. It's poison and dark type, meaning its only weakness is ground. And when you think about Pokemon that are really popular right now, Dusclops, Dragapult, Togekiss, I don't know, like Lapras, and then there's, you know, the sand Pokemon, whatever. I think Muk would be a really cool Pokemon. It gets Gluttony, which allows it to eat 50% or 33% berry at 50% health. So it can run basically a super citrus berry. It has Poison Touch as well, and you also can do Power of Alchemy for some gimmick teams. It's a cool Pokemon. It's never been overpowered, but it is really strong. It got recycled by a tutor move. I don't know if it would still get it. But yeah, basically with Muk, you get to do Protect, Knock Off, Poison Jab, and then a coverage move of your choice. Some people would run Gunk Shot. You could run Taunt. You could run Curse. You could run Shadow Sneak to proc a Dragapult's Weakness Policy. I don't know. I think it's a cool Pokemon. I could Dynamax. I could not Dynamax. Probably wouldn't be Dynamaxing most of the time. But yeah, it's a Pokemon that it can keep up a lot with a lot of the Pokemon of the format, and by getting knockoff via level up, it offers a kind of niche supporting role, because knockoff it's such a powerful move, especially in this format with no Z moves and no Mega Stones, which in previous formats with knockoff couldn't be knocked off. Yeah, so you couldn't knock those items off in past formats, which meant like, even if I had a knockoff Muk, like maybe I could switch it to my Z-move user, like Z-move Kartana, for example, and then I wouldn't lose my item. But in this format, every item can be knocked off. So the addition of a good Pokemon with good bulk and decent like offenses that can remove items is really valuable. Like Lapras without Light Clay, especially on the Light Clay Lapras team, could be, you know, very, very bad for the Lapras user. Dusclops without Eviolite, Togekiss without Babbery Berry you could set up for, although that's not a great example. Incineroar without Recovery, Torkoal without, you know, Charcoal, Conkeldurr without Life Orb or Assault Vest or Flame Orb. All these Pokemon suffer a lot without their items, and they're all very meta. Tyranitar without Weakness Policy. I don't know. It gives you really interesting moves. You can run it with Berry, like I mentioned. You can run Assault Vest. You can run it with Shuka Berry if you want, and you don't even need to use a Health Recovery Berry. You can pair it with Weakness Policy Dragapult and use Shadow Sneak. As long as you don't have Poison Touch, don't use that. Don't do that if you have Poison Touch. I don't know. I really like Muk, and I feel like this is a format where it could really shine because of the presence of Togekiss and Dragapult, because of the presence of Dusclops. It actually has good coverage moves as well. Like, you could run, you know, Special Muk if you wanted. You could run... You have so many moves you can run. You can run Snarl, as you can see here. You can run Imprison to lock Protect. Like, I think I had Imprison at some point. I think I ran Imprison Muk at Oceania Internationals 2017 to beat other Muk. I think. I don't know. I think it's a cool Pokemon. Its stats are really nice. You can see it has good HP, good attack, decent defense. Okay, not good defense, but with the HP it's okay. And then good special defense. And then, you know, it's slow, but it's not that slow for this format. So, what do you want me to say? I think it's a cool Pokemon. I really like using it. It has some cool supporting options, and yeah, I like it. And I think it would be good. And I don't think it would be broken, but I do think it would be good. So that's Muk. And okay, we're at the end of our list. This is my #1 most desired Pokemon. If I could only add one Pokemon of the 10 in this list to the format, this in a heartbeat. I've talked about it before, so some Wolfe Glick trivia. If you think you know what it is, let me know in the comments down below. I'll wait. Pause the video. Go tell me what you think the last Pokemon is. I think it should be obvious. So, of course, I wanted to say Executor, but I was trying to be objective, and I don't think Executor would necessarily be that good in this format with Togekiss, Dragapult, Incineroar, Lapras, Venusaur, yeah, I don't think it'd be that good. Excadrill even. Though I will, Executor will return to glory at some point for me, but not today. So, the last Pokemon is Politoed. They did Rain so dirty. They gave us Tyranitar. They gave us Hippowdon. They gave us Jigglypuff. They gave us Torkoal. They gave us Ninetales. They gave us Alolan Ninetales. They gave us Vanillix. They gave us Abomasnow. They gave us Pelipper as our Rain Setter. Politoed is one of the, I think, the 2 weather setters that aren't in the game. Ignoring Groudon and Kyogre, okay? We're not talking about Groudon or Kyogre. The other one being Aurorus. But Politoed is suspiciously absent from the game, even though I think there's a Politoed t-shirt you can actually buy in the game. Why? Why is Politoed not in the game? Why is Quaxo not in the game? Drizzle... Politoed is like the perfect weather setter in my opinion. It could be offensive. People have run specs. People actually ran Water Gym Hydro Pump back in the day. That hit like a truck, let me tell you. You can run specs, but most of the time... You can run Scarf, but most of the time you run it pretty bulky, right? And it's a bulky water type with good supporting moves. Scald and Encore and Parasong and Helping Hand. Rain is not viable in this Venusaur and Tyranitar metagame, and Ninetales and Vanillix and Alolan Ninetales and Lapras metagame. Lapras doesn't set the weather, okay? Fine, you got me. Because it's Pelipper as the setter, and Pelipper's trash, okay? If you want to use Rain, you have to use Hyper Offense garbage. There's no defensive or like support or Rain option on a team. It's like you have to go all in because Pelipper is such a bad Pokemon. And we have an amazing weather setter, Politoed. And they just left it out of the game. So I think Politoed would be amazing. I think it would enable a lot of Pokemon like Ludicolo and Dreadnought. And just overall, you don't even need to have a Swift Swim user. You can run Politoed on its own. You don't need to have a Swift Swim user on the team because it's just, you can just have it as a counter to Torkoal, right? And that would add so much to the format, I think. It gets Encore. It might even, I don't think it gets Yawn. Let's find out. Yawn. Nope, no Yawn. But it doesn't need Yawn. So let's talk about its moves. You normally run Protect, Scald, and then 2 other moves. Some people run Ice Beam, some people run Icy Wind, some people I really liked Encore back in the day. I would run Encore and Perish Song, but you could put Helping Hand on there as well. Yeah, you could run Icy Wind, like I said. I don't know. In terms of its stats, it's naturally specially bulky, good special defense, good HP, decent defense, not great. But you compare it with Intimidate, you compare it with, you know, pretty much whatever you want, and I don't know. I just think this would add so much to the format. It would completely enable another archetype to allow it to be viable without being broken, right? It's not like we're adding Tyranitar into a format without any kind of sand, you know. And Tyranitar is probably a couple levels better in terms of overall stats than Politoed. But Politoed, it's just like a solid Pokemon. And I don't think it would ruin the metagame, but it would add a lot. And I don't know. I think it's really kind of dirty to not let Rain have its day in the sun, you know? I think that's kind of mean. I think Rain is a viable archetype, and the fact that maybe they thought it would be too powerful. Maybe I'm underestimating how good Rain is. Maybe that's why they left Politoed out. I would actually believe that, because Rain is a very dangerous archetype. It's really scary, offensive or just, you know, defensive, bulky, whatever. But I don't know. I miss Politoed, and I think it definitely, I think it definitely would be good without being broken. Maybe it'd be broken, but I don't think so personally. But maybe, who knows? Anyway, that's my list. Those are the 10 Pokemon that I want to see added to Sword and Shield that I think would add a lot to the metagame. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know if you like this kind of content from me. I know that I've been doing battles more recently, but if you enjoy this kind of content, let me know in the comments down below the video. Thank you. And yeah, let me know what 10 Pokemon you want to see in the game as well. What Pokemon you think would be good to add without ruining the metagame or whatever. Like I said, not you know, this list obviously has some inherent bias. I thought about adding Talonflame, but I hate Talonflame, so I didn't add it. But yeah, I don't know. Let me know what you think of my list. Let me know if what your personal list would be, and I think that's it. I'll see you tomorrow for the next video. Goodbye.